Welcome everyone, I'm Dale and this is Cinema Historia. A hired gunman, a dusty small town, and nervous and upset locals. This week we're going back to 1959 for an American Western film called No Name on the Bullet, starring Audie Murphy, Charles Drake, and Joan Evans. And this is directed by Jack Arnold. So where does our story begin this week? Well, our story begins with infamous, cold-blooded, gun-for-hire John Gant, played by Audie Murphy. When the hired gunman arrives in the small, dusty town of Lordsburg, Arizona, the locals are terrified by his reputation and surprised by how young he is. 23 times Gant has dueled with death and won. Although Sheriff Buck Hastings would like to arrest Gant, he points out to the townsmen that Gant always persuades his rivals to draw their gun first, allowing him to kill them legally in self-defense. With everyone being upset, the men in the town speculate anxiously about Gant's target. Luke Canfield, played by Charles Drake, the town blacksmith and doctor, greets Gant and is totally unaware of Gant's reputation as a hired gunman. Luke proudly takes Gant on a town tour, demonstrating his perfect aim with a heavy hammer, and agrees to join him later for a game of chess. At home, Luke's fiancée, Ann Benson, played by Joan Evans, tends to her sick father, Judge Benson, who suffers from tuberculosis. After seeing Luke and Gant together, the sheriff pays Luke a visit, warning Luke to stay away from Gant, as he feels he would be powerless against Gant's superior gun skills. While Gant takes up residence in the local hotel, a fear-stricken town turns upside down, hiding behind guns and locked doors, wondering who Gant's target is. With mine owners assuming their partner hired Gant, a clerk and his wife certain that her ex-husband sent Gant, and a panic-stricken banker shooting himself in his office, thinking Gant was out to kill him, scenarios begin surrounding the town. When the sheriff becomes wounded after pulling a gun on Gant, Luke, backed by a mob, hopes to run Gant out of town with minimal violence, but Gant will not budge. So, do the townsmen run Gant out of town? Is Luke Canfield now needed more as a doctor than a blacksmith? Or does our target know enough to send the governor and several other wealthy and powerful men to prison? Released in February of 1959 from Universal Pictures, this film is regarded as one of Murphy's best movies, with its fans including director Joe Dante. Film writer Jeff Stafford stated that unlike most of Murphy's earlier westerns, No Name on the Bullet has a philosophical edge with an intelligent script, restrained performances, and smooth direction that leave the film relatively undated. And film critic Rotten Tomatoes states, an absolute gem, a true masterpiece that deserves recognition, the greatest 1 hour and 17 minutes ever. Big statement. Big movie. If you enjoy the film that I did, High Noon, the other Western, it is very similar. It's a story that builds in suspense like that one, so I know you'd enjoy this one as well. And our trivia question this week, was there two stars in our film that were best friends in real life? Were there two stars in our film that were best friends in real life? So a little more history and the answer to our trivia question coming up next. Now, when my parents were dating during the 1950s, my father's favorite westerns to go see at the show were the Audie Murphy westerns. But for those of you who don't know Audie Murphy, well, that's the subject of this week's history. So, Audie Murphy was an American soldier, actor, and songwriter. Born on June 20th, 1925 in the small rural community in Hunt County in northeastern Texas, Murphy was the 7th of 12 children, being known as a loner with mood swings and an explosive temper. Murphy dropped out of school in 5th grade after their father deserted them, taking odd jobs to help support his family. In 1941, he worked at a radio repair shop, a general store, a garage, and gas station until the attack on Pearl Harbor in December of 1941. Enlisting in the U.S. Army on June 30th, 1942, Murphy took up basic training at Camp Walters, then was sent to Fort Meade for advanced infantry training. During basic training, he earned the Marksman Badge with Rifle Component Bar and Expert Badge with Bayonet Component Bar. Murphy was then shipped to Casablanca in French Morocco on February 20th, 1943, assigned to Company B, 1st Battalion, 15th Infantry Regiment, 3rd Infantry Division. From World War II, Murphy was widely celebrated as the most decorated American soldier of World War II and has been described as the most highly decorated soldier in U.S. history. Murphy received every military combat award for valor available from the United States Army, as well as French and Belgian awards for heroism. He received the Medal of Honor for valor that he demonstrated at the age of 19 for single-handedly holding off a company of soldiers in January of 1945 before leading a successful counterattack while wounded and out of ammunition. After the war, actor and producer James Cagney saw the July 1945 issue of Life magazine depicting Murphy as the most decorated soldier and brought him to Hollywood. After his 1949 book To Hell and Back and a handful of bit parts, the 1949 film Bad Boy gave Murphy his first leading role. Universal Studios later signed Murphy to a 7-year studio contract at $2,500 a week. His first film for them was as Billy the Kid in The Kid from Texas in 1950. During an acting career spanning from 1948 to 1969, Murphy made more than 40 feature films, predominantly westerns, and one television series, with honors including a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And in 2013, Murphy was honored with the Texas Legislative Medal of Honor. That's a big deal. And a big actor. And the answer to our trivia question this week: were there 2 stars in our film that were best friends in real life? Yes, there certainly was, and it was Charles Drake who played Dr. Luke Canfield and Audie Murphy who played Gunman John Gant. They were best friends in real life, which probably accounts for Murphy getting Drake cast in almost all of his films. Drake enjoyed working with Murphy, starting with the film Gunsmoke in 1953, and is fondly remembered as Brandon in Murphy's To Hell and Back in 1955, just to name a couple. And Charles Drake will also be remembered in the 1950 film Harvey with James Stewart as asylum psychiatrist Dr. Sanderson. And he's the guy that gets to dance with Nurse Kelly. And I did a review on the movie Harvey, if you'd like to look that one up. Great comedy film. I like to take the time to give a big thank you to my new subscribers. Thanks for jumping on board and helping support my channel. And for everyone else this week, thanks for watching, everyone, and hope to see you back next week.